I love her, no skeezer. That is a dub, I don't need her. I once and I leave her. Blowing my phone for no reason. I cheated on you with a dancer. Okay, I surrender my hands up. At least I admit it, I'm in enough. I do not have all the answers, and I gotta stay with the 90s days. They get fine these days, and I ain't not with all the drama, ayy. Poppin' just for moving wacky, ayy. Hoppers, they be wildin', ayy. You sleeping on me, but I'm wide awake. Eliante brings tsunamis, ayy.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 things that I wish I knew when starting jiu-jitsu as an old man over 40. I am approaching, and it's crazy to even think this, I'm approaching the 1-year mark. The 1-year mark from when I started this journey. You guys are right there. I mean, I can't talk enough about the importance that I have seen coming from being involved in jiu-jitsu. And I know that a lot of people, they get tired of hearing about it. A lot of people, you know, it's such a topic that is just saturating every aspect of like the manosphere, red pill, you know, law enforcement, security. It's everywhere. You cannot turn on a podcast without people talking about jiu-jitsu. It's everywhere. But for the industry of security, I'll say 2 things. Number one, for the industry of security, this is so important because when people are not comfortable being uncomfortable, let me say this again, when people are not comfortable being uncomfortable, whether that's being pressed, being put in a situation where you're threatened, being put in a situation where potentially somebody's put their hands on you or you've put your hands on somebody else. When you're not comfortable in that environment, people always go to the next thing, which will be that lethal weapon or that less than lethal weapon. And it causes people to lash out and make decisions to do things that aren't rational. So I've seen a huge improvement. Not that I've ever been overly aggressive or the kind of person that's overly confrontational, but I've seen a huge change in my approach to my job since being involved in jiu-jitsu. But there are some things, there are some aspects, some positive, some negative, that I wish I would have known going into it. Because to be really honest, as much as I enjoy jiu-jitsu, as much as I can see some of the positive benefits that it's brought to the table, I didn't have to do it. I don't have to do this sport. I don't have to do, you know, this pastime. It's been beneficial, but there's also some issues that it's caused for me, and I want to talk about that as well. So we're going to talk about the top 5 things that I wish I knew when starting jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go through them. All of these things could be number 5, all could be number 1. Like I'm going off of what they are, but it doesn't matter what the number is. So the first thing is going to be number 5, that the excitement wears off, and that's okay, right? The honeymoon phase eventually ends. And at some point in time, showing up starts to feel kind of like a chore, and it's no longer a thrill. And that's where the real growth begins, or so they say, when you're training for discipline and not for that dopamine hit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like I'm at that point now. I'm going into this will be my 10th month, right? Yeah, 10th or 11th month. It is so difficult because if you're like me and you're working in the security industry, like I put in very long hours. I get up early in the morning. I go to work. The job that I work now, it has me walking all over town. Like I've got the gear on. When I get done with work, I'm generally tapped out, no pun intended, tapped out and tired. So like, you know, the initial honeymoon phase of it being new and it being exciting and being around a bunch of dudes and like, you know, kind of creating that camaraderie, all of that helped to push me to get to the gym on those days when I was tired. But now that we're approaching a year and it's no longer that new shiny thing, it is so hard sometimes to get myself to the gym. And I've had to just kind of get across to myself that it's okay that you lose that excitement. I've lost that excitement for security in a lot of ways. Like I've lost that excitement for making videos and content, but I still do it. I still show up. I still do what I'm supposed to. But that's difficult to kind of deal with. And I wish I would have known that going in, because what you hear on podcasts, what you see in society right now is that so many people are doing jiu-jitsu and so many people say it's changed my life. It's made my life better. It's made me a better person. It's made me a better security guard, whatever it is. And to a large degree, a lot of that is true. But at the same time, that shine, that sheen, that excitement, it wears off and it becomes like anything else. It's just another thing that you have on your schedule. So I wish I would have known that going in. I should have. I'm old enough to have known that. But, hey, it is what it is. Number 4 is that the ego death is the real fight. You're going to think, if you haven't done jiu-jitsu yet, or if you're thinking about starting it, you kind of get into this mindset that like you're competing, or no pun intended, you're wrestling with other people. You're grappling with the people that are there. And to a degree, that's true. But the big thing that you have to get across, like the big hurdle you have to get across, is that the ego has to die. All of us as guys, all of us as men, we tend to want to be good at something, right? We tend to want to achieve something. We tend to want to get better at something. And this is one of those sports where it takes a really long time, not just to get good, but just to get somewhat proficient. And when you're older, you have responsibilities of life. You have a lot of shortcomings with our bodies. Like, my joints are bad. I've got injuries, all kinds of things. And so even when you're putting your best foot forward and you're absolutely trying to get the most out of this sport, there's going to be a lot of setbacks. There's going to be a lot of roadblocks and a lot of things that your body just is not going to let you do. And that is really hard for men to deal with. It's also very hard for guys to recognize and realize and accept that you're not as tough as you think you are, right? You're going to have guys that are 15, 16, 17, 18 years old that just absolutely mop the floor with you. You're going to have really small guys or really small women or people that are older than you, all kinds of people that in your mind you don't think that should be able to absolutely just control you and dominate you, but they will. And for people who are over the age of 40, this is an issue for everybody, but when you're over the age of 40, you probably haven't put yourself in a lot of experiences or situations where that's the case. And so that can be difficult. I've seen so many people over the last year who've come in, who've done a trial class, who have gotten submitted, have gotten choked out, have gotten put in bad situations, just being pinned down to the floor, not being able to get out. And then you never see these people again. It's so hard for men to deal with the reality that you're not as tough as you might have thought you were. So that's something that you have to be ready for. The truth is that you're not special on the mat. Jiu-jitsu forces you to accept losses, often from people half your age and half your size. Learning to let go of that pride is more painful than any choke you will ever experience. And guys, I've been there. That first tournament that I ever went to, I had this guy dead to rights, or so I thought, and he just simply rolls me over and pins me down in side control. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get out. I didn't know, how to address the situation. And I panicked and I tapped. And that's something that has stuck with me since that day, and something that's, kind of colored how I do my jiu-jitsu moving forward. Number 3 is that injuries aren't an if, they're a win. And I have tried very diligently to be aware of my problem areas, be aware of the joint issues that I have, the past injuries that I've had, and not put myself in bad situations. I'm very aware when I roll of who I'm rolling with, how often I'm going to training. If I need to take the day off, I'll take the day off. All of the things that you're supposed to do to make sure that you have longevity on the mat. But the truth is that tendons, they snap, joints, they give out, bones, they break. And a lot of times it's just the momentum of what you're doing or the repetition of what you're doing that causes these issues. I've always been worried about major injuries, but I never thought about things like labrum tears, right? I had a tear in my groin, right where my ball goes into the socket of my right leg, in that little small tear in that labrum. It's so painful. It's so difficult to deal with. And trying to go through my day and go through my job and just get out of bed or get off the couch, super painful. And I don't think that I was ready for that, to understand that like just going to 1 or 2 classes a week, just rolling the basic stuff that we do. I'm not like in any knockdown drag out fights, but in those environments and situations, things give out and things get hurt. And just moving through my day sometimes is super, super difficult and super hard for me. So injuries are not a matter of if, they're a matter of when, and you're going to have to deal with that. Number 2 is that survival, in my opinion, is the most valuable skill when you first start. When you first start, you want to learn all the cool stuff. And if you're watching YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, you're going to see all kinds of sweeps and sick arm bars and lapel chokes. And I mean, I've got folders full of shit of all kinds of moves that I'll probably never use. But what I started to learn over the past like couple of months is that being able to survive is a great skill. And I would go so far as to say it's probably the most valuable skill. If you only learn one thing, how to not get choked, how to not get submitted, how to be able to survive that 5-minute round, that 6-minute round, that 3-minute round, however long you're rolling for, that goes so far. Because in life, in real life, on the street, doing things that harm, hurt, or maim people has consequences, right? If you're in a competition, you sweep somebody, you put them in a sick arm bar, you pop their shoulder out, you break their arm, you snap a tendon, like that's all within the confines of competition. But when you're on the street, doing those kind of things have real world consequences. And for me, working in private security, a lot of what I do, it cannot seem like it's some sort of offensive tactic, right? But being able to control people, being able to hold people down, being able to protect yourself if you're being controlled or held down, all of that stuff kind of gets overlooked as a skill. We tend to want to learn the sexy stuff. We tend to want to do the stuff that looks cool and looks badass. But for the practical sake of what we do, being able to keep yourself from being submitted, keep yourself from being choked or being hurt or harmed is such a valuable tool, especially in security. You probably won't end up being Gordon Ryan, but you'll be able to survive. And in the real world, especially for guys like us who are older, survival beats domination every single time. I cannot stress that enough. The number one thing that I had to learn over the past year is that you can't rush mastery. Now, this is difficult for guys who are my age, because when you get into this sport, you realize, man, if I would have started this thing, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, how far would I be along? And people start to talk about the journey of jiu-jitsu. Oh, it's a 10-year journey. Oh, it's a 12-year journey. Well, if you're 47, I'm looking at 60 years old before I'm potentially able to get a black belt if I were to stay in it. But then I realize how much pain I'm in on a daily basis. I realize like the shortcomings of the issues that I have with my joints or my bones or my tendons, all of the things that could potentially take me out. And so you start to do the math and you're like, man, I wish I could have started this a lot earlier. And since I didn't, my natural instinct is to try and push harder, push faster. Go to classes twice a day. Go to classes 4 to 5 times throughout the week. But the problem is that you can't make up for that lost time. And if you're already dealing with injuries, if you're already dealing with a little bit of burnout, if you're already dealing with some personal shortcomings or setbacks, trying to go harder, faster, longer, or more often, it's only going to lead to you hurting yourself or burning out a lot quicker. The reality is that no matter how fast you develop in jiu-jitsu, you can't promote yourself. At the end of the day, no matter how good you are, no matter how great you're doing, how much you're learning, how, fast you're developing, you are not going to be able to promote yourself. Your coach is going to promote you, and they're going to promote you when they're good and damn ready. There's nothing that you can do to speed up that process. And since you can't speed up that process, this is me talking to me. Since you can't speed up that process, you should look at this training in a more productive way, right? Sometimes I take myself and I go, okay, what am I going to do this week? I'm going to try and go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to try and go to jiu-jitsu 4 times this week. And if my body's not feeling it, if I'm not in the right headspace, if I'm not thinking about my training in a proper way, I'll just take that time and spend that time on the couch with my wife and my dogs, right? At the end of the day, there's no point in me rushing it or trying to push it if it's not there. And it took me a long time to get to that point. So remember that progress in jiu-jitsu is not linear. You'll plateau often, which I can attest to, and breakthroughs come after what feels like endless struggle. And I have seen this happen personally myself as well. Trying to speed up the process usually results in burnout or injury. So if you guys are participating in jiu-jitsu, or if you're not, my question is, why aren't you, right? If you're participating in jiu-jitsu, sorry, I keep like kicking myself out of my studio there. If you're not participating in jiu-jitsu, my biggest question is why not? What's keeping you from starting? But if you are, what have you found are some of the things that you've learned over the time that you've been doing it? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. If you've been doing it for, a year or less, or if you've been doing it for over a year, you've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. What are some of the things that you wish that you knew going in? And again, we'll recap my 5 things. Number 5 is that the excitement wears off, and ultimately that's okay. Number 4 is that the ego death is the real fight. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and you have to come to terms and grips with the fact that you're not as tough as you might have thought you were. And that's okay. Once you accept that, you can start moving from a position of reality, right? Number 3 is that injuries aren't if, they're when. Number 2 is that survival is probably the most valuable skill in practicality. And number 1, that you can't rush mastery. I would love to know what you guys think are your 5 truths that you've come to learn since doing jiu-jitsu. What are some of the things that maybe you came into the game and you weren't aware of that now you're aware of? Share that with us in the comments. And guys, listen, if you're not training, I really can't stress it enough. It has been beneficial. It has been helpful, albeit the fact that I'm in pain 90% of the time I'm going throughout my day, but it has been beneficial, and I'm almost at that year mark. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are actually participating in jiu-jitsu. And as always, I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of what we're doing here. It's a community. Push it forward. Make sure you guys are sharing. Make sure that you like, and make sure that you subscribe. As always, be great. Watch your back. Take care.
Love on no skis, that is a dub, I don't need her. I once and I leave her, blowing my phone for no reason. I cheated on you with a dancer, okay, I surrender my hands up. At least I admit it, I'm enough. I do not have all the answers, and I gotta stay with the 90s days. That get fine these days, and I ain't not with all the drama, ayy. Popping just for moving wacky, ayy. Hoppers, they be wildin', ayy. You sleeping on me, but I'm wide awake. Eliante, bring tsunamis, ayy.